I have 6:30. We'll call to order the regular meeting of Vermont Water and Sanitation District, September 9th, and have 6:31. We'll start with a roll call. I am Karen Morgan present.
Dave Wickman present.
R. Martinez present.
Roger Wendell present. Philip Hardiger present.
We have a quorum. Changes to the agenda. I would like to, I motion to add an executive session in case it's needed for legal advice regarding the settlement offer that we just received. That will be discussed further in legal matters, but in case it's needed later. Is there a second for that?
Yeah.
Second by Director Hardinger. Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous approval. Thank you. Any other changes to the agenda?
If you're not, nobody else is gonna say it, can I suggest that we let them go first? Yeah, that issue. That'd be all right. In other words, acting on the new director's business or whatever, but you know, rather than make them sit through half the meeting.
Do you understand that the auditor is here to do a presentation as well?
Yeah, there's only one of them, and
There's only one of them?
there's a whole bunch of them.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Motion by Director Whitman to, where are you bumping it to?
Right now.
Before public comment. Okay, to have it on next on the agenda. Before public comment. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Director Martinez.
Discussion, what are we doing?
He wants to have the public hearing for the Lopez matter next.
Oh, okay.
Instead of waiting till later.
Yeah. While I appreciate that they are here in person and waiting and has been some time, I would still vote to maintain the order of the meeting. But whatever works. Any other discussion? No. All in favor?
Okay.
Aye or against, and only me for it, only me against it. Okay. That is, any other changes? All right, we are done with changing and we are moving on to public hearing. Apologies. Who would like to be we'll have a district president. Oh, I'm sorry. So public hearing is new for this matter. We introduced new rules and regs to adopt a public hearing process as a result of the last hearing that we did for this informal hearing. Is that 2024 that we did that? So, the matter before us is not new, but the process is. Dylan, could you run us through some procedures, please?
Yes, so the district rules and regulations provide for sort of an appellate process for any decision that the district makes, in more or less. So that includes determination by the district can be the recipient of a decision by the district can ask for a review by the district manager of that decision. And then subsequently, if the district manager's decision is under review, that goes to the board of directors. So there are some timelines and there are some requirements, some formalities associated with that, such as the decision needs to be in writing. The request for review needs to be made within 10 days. The district has to hold the hearing within a certain number of days after receiving it. Because it's a new process here, this is the first hearing that the board is conducting under this process. So it's a request for reconsideration, essentially, or a variance of the denial of attack for a single family residence at 850 South Course. So this was originally heard under informal process in December of 2024. It's here on the formal review process. Because it's the first time the district has gone through this process, I feel that there have been some irregularities in the way that it was brought before the board. So the timing issues weren't necessarily strictly complied with. And maybe the written determination wasn't provided appropriately. Regardless of those irregularities, what I'm proposing for the board is that you agree to just hear the matter today and waive those procedural irregularities, whether by the district or by the appellant. And I've been in communication with counsel for the appellant, and they're agreeable to waive any objection that they might have either to the district's irregularities or yours. So just as a preliminary matter, I'm asking that you just agree to that, hold the hearing today, and that be the hearing. So that's the first issue that I have for you all.
So is that calling for a motion to that effect?
It is, yes.
I would so move then.
Director Rickman moves. Was that raising your hand for a second or just seconded by Director Hardinger? Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous approval?
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
So the conduct of the hearing is, the board may adopt procedures for the conduct of the hearing, but as laid out in the rules and regulations, district manager presents the evidence on behalf of the district, regarding the determination of the district, followed by presentation of evidence by the appellant regarding their request for relief from that determination. So it's my recommendation that as a simple procedural matter, you impose a time limit. So you don't want to have 2 hours of presentation of evidence if the matter doesn't necessarily warrant that. So as far as procedures go, that's the only recommendation that I have. Otherwise, you can turn it over to district manager for presentation of the evidence, followed by questions from the board to the district manager, followed by presentation of evidence by the appellant with questions to follow. If you don't have to impose a time limit, but that's my suggestion.
What's your recommendation for a time limit?
I think 20 minutes would be appropriate for both sides.
Okay,
Okay,
all right. I'm saying that as agreement to a 20-minute time limit on both sides and the procedural outline by,
With the caveat that you don't have to use the whole 20 minutes.
No one has to use the 20 minutes.
okay,
Clarify.
Thank you, Dave.
all right. Sounds like we're in agreement. And that puts you next, Mr. Stanley,
All
for a
right.
presentation from the district.
Yeah, it's gonna be fairly short, just due to the nature of the request. We received a tap request, or sorry, water and sewer availability request for 850 South Killen back in March of 2023. If time, so the district manager at the time. It was submitted to Jeff via Ms. Lopez. He responded back on the same day with the water and sewer availability forms. Laid out, were attached to the rules and regulations, and the really no context outside of that, sending the documents to the requester. March 17th, Ms. Lopez provided the signed water and sewer availability forms, which are the city of Lakewood document. And Jeff had responded with Green Mountain needs a drawing review in order to approve and calculate the tap fees. So kind of moving through the chain of events. The 20th, Jeff signed and returned the forms back to the requester. And Jennifer confirmed she received the signed forms by the district. There was not really any communication between March 20th, 23 until September 3rd of 2024. In which Ms. Lopez submitted the Denver water tap application to Jeff. Just moving through it as a normal process. At that time, Jeff was no longer with the district, so that was, she got the auto reply, if he's no longer here, send the email to the Green Mountain admin account, which was received by us. We had a short internal review, and based on the location of the home, where it would tie into, and moving downstream through our model review, there is section of pipe along the avenue that has this overcapacity at this time.
Which street?
Kentucky Drive down off of by the old Green Mountain bowling alley, down towards Kipling. Just responded with a just an overview of what is happening with the line that they're trying to tie into. And Ms. Lopez questioned, as she assumed from the communication she read from Jeff Tias, that the water and sewer were available. After that email from Sam, I responded with some information that the forms are to verify that the water and sewer are available to the property. There's some language in there from the district that lays out issues that may arise from them getting service because of capacity. And again, the process was not clearly defined by Jeff, so there was a little miscommunication, I think, between the parties there. Once that took place, the contractor, which I believe is your father, he reached out requesting a pre-design meeting, which is part of the development review process. We had that was on October 21st, 2024, on November 14th. We had that pre-design meeting kind of laying out where the district is with that section of pipe that they're trying to connect into. There was just I think a lot of miscommunication between Jeff, the requesting party, and the city of Lakewood. That process has since been refined with the city, so there's a lot more communication prior to them approving any sort of building permit. After that pre-design meeting, they requested to be on the agenda for the December meeting, in which the board discussed the details of the request, the capacity limits, and the potential consequences of accepting the request, and it was denied. So that's a kind of a layout from the district staff level. And there's been a lot of phone call communication, things like that with Royd, trying to, letting them know we're going through a model review, trying to refine the model to refine where the peaking values are coming from in that sub-basin. So that's yes, sir.
How much overcapacity are we now currently experiencing?
The district's maximum right now is 0.7 D over D, which is points. So 70% of the pipe's capacity is all you can have. That's the limit in it. But I believe it's at 100% right now.
We're at 100%.
At a peaking factor. So if there's a really crazy storm event, something like that, the pipe is based on the model is potentially running at 100% full pipe through about a 600-foot section of sewer.
In what they're addition to the pipe, and how much more? What's the delta there?
In the grand scheme of things, it's negligible.
But are we talking about like 101%, or are we at 200? It's 200%.
Really, based on a review of JDA from a separate development, there would really be no major change to that.
Is there anything in the future to upsize that pipe since we're at its limit?
We have, what was presented to the board, is a draft of a cost sharing agreement. There are several developments that are interested in connecting into that section of the system that has capacity, that is over capacity. I think there was 7 different developments outside of the Lopez family here. So I've initiated contact with all those developers to see if anybody has any interest in setting up a meeting and discussing the details of that cost sharing agreement once it's approved by them.
So like it could be a cost sharing type of deal with any new developers coming.
Again, that's all in the future. That doesn't affect the matter at hand today.
Correct.
And if I remember correctly, during our last conversation, I took it that, we were at a point with that pipe, but not necessarily handling. But you're saying it would be negligible now just to add one more home single family house to the.
On normal daily use, that's what we've been told via consulting engineers.
Right now, it serves 600 homes.
That is, no, that's a step, that's the Ravine project. This one is, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head how many connecting, but it's way a lot more than 600.
Oh. So Lopez would be. Yeah, negligible.
Is my understanding, can you tell me, so at 100% capacity? How did we get to 100% capacity? If our design standards are to be lower capacity?
I think in historical reviews, we didn't have the level of detail that we have today as far as running sewer models and getting those actual impacts from whatever development is potentially going in. So we've established our model, we have our figures, the additional capacity can be introduced into that model, they run it, and it lets you know how it affects that base of the system.
So infill properties like this have been coming online in ones and twos and dribs and drabs for the last 20 years. So all of those, have any of them contributed to this 100%? It was just 100%, and then we added another 100 infill properties, and those had nothing to do with the capacity.
I think what's really changed the model was some of the larger, like Alta, some of the multifamily where there's, 200, 300 units going online without running the model to this level of detail that we have today.
Now that we have run the model to this level of detail, and we know that we are over capacity, like we're over capacity. How could would there be any basis to deny anybody a tab outside of being 200 new units if we go past this safety limit right now? You said how many others are waiting?
There's potentially probably 1,000 plus or minus units that could potentially go online to this section of the system.
Into this particular line?
How big's the line?
It is currently 12-inch.
Oh, no wonder.
Well, I think because of the age of that area,
Yeah.
it's flat
Yeah.
in that section, which creates kind of a backlog that the flow doesn't move as proper as it should, so the dynamics of the water slow down through that section and can fill it up.
Now, this 1,000 or so that are in the queue, those are single families,
Multi-family.
multi-family. So anything coming down out of those 1,000, we would look insane cost sharing the upgrade of the pipe.
Yeah, and those parties have been notified of this potential cost sharing.
And you're also indicating this, that's what I understood, that there was kind of a miscommunication with the Lopez family as to the process. What was going on?
No. Well, I'm sorry, to answer. Can you clarify if there was a miscommunication? Was that with you? Do you know that?
Well, I just reviewing the communication log between Jeff, the Lopez family, there just wasn't a lot of communication. So
On whose side?
from the previous district manager,
From what?
from the previous district manager.
From the previous district, yes. Okay. Because I was, when I thought about this by myself, I thought, well, and I've looked at developing properties or buying properties and so you don't move forward, breaking ground until you have your taps in place, your electricity, your sewer, whatever it is. Otherwise, you can be holding your bag, but it kind of just sounded like there was have a little bit of a gray area here.
Can't really, I just only was able to review the communication I saw from Jeff.
From Jeff.
The process was in place. He's forwarded the appropriate documents along, but he didn't add any sort of context to what he was saying. Today, whenever I get a request, lay out the process, we touch base, explain anything that we would need to explain to them to understand what process that has to happen in order for that particular development to be approved.
Yeah, I didn't even know Jeff was the name of the previous district manager.
Can you tell us about changing the forms with the languages on the form?
Yeah, before we just got we would get the certificate of water and sewer availability, which again means that there is sewer line and a water line that's near the property that they can run out and connect to. Green Mountain, because of our new established model, have laid out some conditions that where water and sewer is available under the following conditions, that the owner or developer may be required to plan, finance, design, and construct water and sewer facilities needed to serve the property. So that's where if it's a capacity limit, they would have to pay for ended size in order to take on the additional from the development standpoint.
And did you say single family homes were not able to share in the cost sharing agreement that is being developed?
We have across the board been holding everybody to the same standard. Which is why we sent them that at this time, we're not able to accept any new taps due to the fact that section of pipe that was identified in the wastewater master plan that was developed by American Engineering in 21, I believe it was 21. It's a known issue, a known capacity issue, so we're not accepting new connections at this time, whether it's 1 or 1,000.
And that was, like, that you said it was for equal standards, everybody's treated the same.
Now, have we ever done, in your tenure, have we ever done this before?
We have this process, no, we have not had really any sort of developments wanting to come online to an area with capacity issues.
From a legal standpoint, we open the can of worms here, or we approve this, or something that happens down the road, you get that storm.
So. There's two questions there, I think. The first question is. And maybe this is what you meant, maybe this isn't what you meant, but I'm gonna answer the two questions that I've heard. So the one question is, if you approve a variance now, are you gonna be obligated to approve variances in the future? And then the other question is, if you approve this variance and in the future, there's a heavy storm event and there's backups in this neighborhood or something, are you gonna be, is this gonna be why? So on this one, if there are backups in this area, I believe, and this is a lawyer's answer, not an engineer's, but I think based on the negligible addition here, if there's going to be a backup, there's already going to be a backup because of the overcapacity line here. The addition of one single family resident probably isn't going to have any statistically recognizable change in the likelihood of a backup. On the other side here, if you have a reason that is at least rational for making a decision, it's a supportable decision. Which is to say, if you decide to approve this today and someone comes in 6 months and has a very similar situation and you decide to deny that one, as long as you have a legitimate reason for the approval today and the denial then, they're going to be independent decisions. And if you deny it today and in 6 months you approve something else, as long as you have legitimate reasons for why you do it, they're gonna be independent decisions. Probably from a continuity perspective and board governance, they should be the same decision. You know, you do have the 0.7 D over D policy, and the policy of the board is to not approve any additional tax on any line that's subject to that, that exceeds that limit. But you have the discretion to deviate from that policy too. So it's not contrary to law to deviate from it, but it is the policy of the board.
This hearing and this denial comes from the 0.7 D over D. And you remember when that was instituted about?
That may have been 2022. I think so, yeah.
And prior to 2022,
It was 0.8.
it was 0.8, and we did not issue. Did we issue any denials?
As a result of the 0.8.
No, yeah, well, for capacity considerations.
Prior to that, we didn't have this level, we didn't have this process in place that.
Did we have a model?
We had a working model, but it wasn't. It was just in the infancy stages, so it wasn't refined or verified with. We just didn't have a lot of data at the time to.
How many,
With all these sewer flow analysis that we've done on potential developments
since 2022?
since, yes.
Okay. There is more data available, but as of 2022, there was enough data to know that we had a capacity problem and we set it at 0.7, and that was, and now we are trying to refine it upstream, but for this particular problem, Kentucky has been identified since back then as a problem, and that was good enough for to identify
Yes,
Kentucky as a problem for
yes.
a while.
Since the master plan was done in 2021, yeah.
Okay, so there's documentation.
Yeah.
To show that it was a problem and it wasn't just something new, so. So it's a little bit contentious. Because this is new to the district to say, we just don't have the capacity, we have never made that determination and said that before.
That's correct.
But there is a legit capacity issue.
At full peaking value, yes.
Okay.
Which is the way the engineers, you have your normal daily flow that goes to the line. But in order to safeguard the district and prevent lines from backing up, you have this additional value that is, you know, if it's the 100-year storm comes in, do you have the room to accept all of that rainwater that will enter the sewer system? So that's why we're at this crossroad with this section of pipe.
Is this section of pipe scheduled to be fixed, upsized?
It is on, yes, it is on the list.
Okay,
It's probably, I think right now we're looking at maybe 27, 28. somewhere in there.
any other questions? All right, good. We will ask for our next testimony then.
Oh, wow. Well, that's pretty good. So my name's Andrew Garnett. Mr. Wickman, thank you for putting us to the front of the agenda with an impending bedtime. I think it's in all of our best interests. So thanks for doing that, and apologies to Miss Auditor for jumping in front of you in line. Like I said, my name is Andrew Garnett. Sid Tukalski is my colleague here with me. Jen Lopez, Vinny Lopez, and Aria Lopez are here as well. I think what we want to do, because I think, to be perfectly honest, you're all touching on several of the issues and the questions that we've been navigating and dealing with. And I appreciate Mr. Woods and Mr. Stanley taking a lot of time to talk to me about some of this stuff, talk about the Olson study, talk about the JVA study from 2024, and talk about the Merrick study from 2020, and for getting us on the docket and for helping us get through some of the procedural hiccups. And so what we want to do is have Ms. Lopez and Mr. Lopez walk through kind of just from a human level, what's going on for them and kind of why they're in this situation, because to your point, the question of, you don't go forward with development until you have all your ducks in a row. I want them to explain how they got their ducks in a row and why this has got to the point where it really is an emergency for them. And then I'll pop on and try to add a little bit of color as well, or some additional details. The long and short of it is, appreciate the consideration, appreciate the time and the opportunity to present to you guys. Because as you'll see here in a second, it's a pretty important deal for this family.
So I'm Jen. I think all of you probably got an email that I sent a few days ago that I'll kind of reintroduce myself. So I'm Jennifer, my husband Vinny, as he said, Aria. And I was born and raised in Colorado. I was born at Lutheran Hospital, not far from Lakewood, actually. I'm not a developer. This is the second project I've ever done, both of which have been in Green Mountain. The first house that we built was, we purchased that lot in 2016. And I built that house with my brother, who is also not a developer. It was kind of a family project. And we lived actually right next to Roger, so very close by to him. That process with Green Mountain Water was extremely smooth. I did the tap application for that as well, not a single hiccup. And so when we purchased this lot in 2021 to build our forever home, and I went through plans, due diligence to be able to build this next project and give back to this neighborhood that we very much love, I had no reason to think that there would be any kind of issue. And as Josh stated, I sent an email to Jeff at that time and asked, from what I understand, this is the process. I need these forms. I submit them to the city of Lakewood so we can get our permit. Is there anything else that I need to know? And I got back an email with the signed forms that basically said, here's our standard procedure. You need these forms. Well, you'll have to review with an engineer, and he gave me some very basic information. And we submitted those forms to the city of Lakewood to receive our permit. So that was in 2023. Permitting took about a year. And in 2024, we received our permit, our construction loan, which we needed the construction loan to be able to pay tap fees to the district. We could not have afforded to do that out of pocket. So began construction, went to apply for our taps after we were already underway, and was then informed that there was some kind of capacity issue happening in the district. So that was complete news to me, complete shock, especially with having been given a building permit to begin construction with no specific communication on this. So that's kind of our history with the project. Vinny and I, like, just to give you a little bit more history about us, we, again, are not developers. We're just a family trying to build our forever house. We own a small business in Wheat Ridge. We've been in the fitness industry for 17 years, and we worked very, very hard. Excuse my motion. Subject. To be able to give our daughter an amazing life. And I just hope that the board understands that the consequences of this for us are dire. It can greatly affect everything that we've worked so hard for. And from what I understand from people that we've spoken to, the effect of our house on the district and the residents in the district would be basically unnoticeable. So I just hope that the board will consider our request from that place, understanding that the decision to give us the top would basically save our life, our financial life, our personal life, and allow us to raise our daughter in this area that we very much love. And if the board denies it, it could be very catastrophic for us. So we really care about Green Mountain. We care about this neighborhood. Again, I was raised in Colorado. I went to school here. My parents got married here. They met here in '79. So I very much understand and love Colorado for what it is, the beauty of Colorado. We employ people in Colorado and we just want to raise our kid here. So please consider our request. Is there anything to add to that?
Family. You've loved this neighborhood since 2016. First, bought our first lot up here. And I have done everything in my power to show our lives to be exactly right here. We build business. We employ people from this county. We eat and support local business here. I too identify with the value of preserving Green Mountain and its resources. It's also important to us. We don't want 2,000 homes popping up either. But we would have never started this process had we known we wouldn't have been able to finish it. And if we don't finish it, it's highly unlikely if we don't get approval tonight. It'll flip everything that I've worked for my whole life upside down. And so I'm simply asking you guys to see us as the family that we are. And not the number or math equation that we basically. Please consider. Thank you.
So I think I need to say a few things, and I'll try to kind of keep it as focused as I can. But I don't wanna get in the way of that, which is the reality of what we're navigating and the reason that we are here. And really, I think Vinny sums it up well with the Lopez's right now are coming to this board as neighbors and as constituents. This is not a lot that's out of district. This is a lot that it's the last remaining lot, I think in Green Mountain Estates or Green Mountain Acres, that hasn't been developed. There was no due diligence consideration that maybe there isn't sewer service here. It's clear as day in the district. And each of you have run on campaigns to represent the constituents of this district to give back. This is a thankless job. I understand the local politics angle of this. Each of you is here doing the best you can to lead this district and to make decisions that you think are in the best interest of your community. And at the end of the day, that decision is before you guys right now. And that decision is to help this family plug into the system that no one can dispute they are eventually going to plug into. Full stop. That's almost the only thing that anybody can always, regardless of thought process on any of this, that is a guarantee. They are in the district, you're required to serve them. Eventually, they will be plugged into the system. But the question you may be asking is, why exactly is this such an emergency? And Jen went through a little bit of it because in 2023, they asked for the capacity letter and they got it from Jen. And I agree with Mr. Stanley that the communication was minimal and there were some miscommunications. But ultimately, that miscommunication resulted in the Lopez's couldn't have gone to Lakewood to get a building permit without that capacity letter. And so the sequence is very, very important because they never would have been able to begin this process without getting that capacity letter first. So they get the capacity letter and then they go to Lakewood and they apply for their building permit. The building permit takes a year. Right? They get that in the middle of 2024 and then they get their construction loan. The construction loan has a timeline and their building permit has a timeline. Okay. So when they came back in December of 2024 to chat with you guys about this, that was what they were navigating because they had to get started on the construction of the project, which they did. They broke ground, started doing the work, got to the point where they could do the underground sort of horizontal work, if you want to call it, to plug into the tap and then find out that there's this capacity issue that they hadn't heard about. But the problem was they'd already started and they had to keep going. And they have been continuing to go. Okay. And so they are on track to finish the construction of the home by the maybe November, December. And look, I've never built a home before, but I've done enough construction projects to know you're worried about labor, you're worried about the weather, you're worried about the cost, you're worried about the timeline, all those things. They've had to navigate all of that stuff on their end to do this construction. Never did it occur to them, oh, maybe there isn't going to be a tap for us to plug into that's going to derail this whole thing. So they are now to the point where in the fourth quarter of this year, they're going to have the house completed. And it's literally going to be a home done with a line built out to the sewer line and a missing tap connection. Because if they don't, their building permit expires in March or February of 2026, and the construction loan expires in January of 2026, or it's backwards. It's in our letter that we submitted. And so this isn't a group of developers who are skirting the rules and just plowing forward with, reckless abandon. They have no other choice. They have to go forward. They've had to go forward. And so this is something, and at each stage they've tried to, and I would argue have done it the right way. They went through the process, they asked the right people, they went in the right sequence, because if they hadn't, it really would never have worked otherwise. And so I want to provide a little bit of context to some of the things that you guys were asking questions about and some of the things that Mr. Stanley was answering in his presentation, because I think they're critical in considering what I would consider and argue is a completely unprecedented, non-precedential issue. You do not have single-family homes applying for taps that have capacity letters that were provided by the district back when the district was aware of a potential capacity problem and said nothing, and now have a built home without any tap to plug into. The reasons that Mr. Woods is talking about for why this is something that can be done are never going to apply to another situation, because Mr. Stanley has gone through a rigorous process to fix what Mr. Tyus was struggling with, which was giving people false impressions to go forward and rely on representations from the district that ultimately became problematic to them. And that's why this is a different situation for the Lopez's. This isn't a situation of a 11 unit multi-development home or development. This is a single home, which is one EQR. I don't know what EQR stands for, and I've looked it up at least 15 times in the last 2 weeks. But what I can tell you is negligible might be an overstatement for whether or not you can see the addition of one EQR on any of these models. I can't remember who over here asked, would it be at 1.1? It would not be at 1.1. It would be at 1.000001. Maybe, if you could even quantify it. And so the concerns, which are potentially legitimate concerns, we don't want big developments in Green Mountain, we don't want to be over capacity, are all legitimate considerations and legitimate concerns for all of you to be worried about and to have policies and procedures designed to protect your community. But when those are applied in an essentially automatic way without real world considerations and it impacts a family like this, that's where we've got to have some real world solutions. and each of you are presented with the opportunity for a solution where you can help these people simply move on with their lives. They're not asking for a free tap. They're not asking to not pay their fair share. They're simply asking for the opportunity to complete their forever home in the community that they have wanted to live in and raise their daughter for their entire lives. Their business is nearby. It's not in the district, but it's pretty close. And these are not people from out of state. These aren't people from a different country. These aren't people that are coming in to turn a profit on this development. These are simply people that are trying to live their lives. And there are important issues with the timeline that I have to say. Okay, I just have to say this for the record so that we understand what we've had to navigate from a little more technical perspective. Because in 2020 is when the Merrick Master Plan was presented. What has been determined and confirmed are the projections from that master plan that I think Ms. Morgan pointed out already demonstrated a capacity problem. So in 2020, there was a capacity problem demonstrated in the master plan based on the metrics or the projections or the whatever you call it when you estimate it from an engineering perspective. And forgive me, that's not me. But then in 2023, the Lopez's get their capacity letter. That capacity letter does not come with a requirement to test their line. And by the way, it's important, and I wish I had the map. You guys have the map in the Olson study. Oh, it's right there. Perfect, I think. Forgive me when I butcher this. I'm pretty confident the Lopez's are up here in like 850 quarters. Anybody who's a little more familiar with, and I picked a whole new map.
Pretty accurate.
Yeah, but like here-ish, right? This is where, right, isn't this generally where the Kentucky Avenue problems is from the Union Street station? So the challenge for them is they're upstream from this problem, okay? But the problem has been known since 2020. And the problem was known when they were given their first original capacity letter. And then nobody said anything. And then in 2024, this JVA study comes up from the South Union property and nobody says anything. Nobody comes to Lopez and says, whoa, don't break ground. Don't break ground. Hold on, you've got a problem. We know we have your capacity letter. We got to make sure you're aware of what we are trying to confirm, what we're looking into, what the problems are. Nobody says any of that. So they go, unbeknownst to them, forward through this process. And then they get their denial. So they come here, hat in hand, same issues, less dire because it's less further on in the construction project or process. And they find out that you guys are going to do a study to try to figure out more specifics about the capacity issues in their location. So the Olson study gets commissioned, but the Olson study doesn't necessarily touch on Kentucky Avenue. It simply determines, and again, this is my understanding from talking to Mr. Stanley, some other engineers, so forgive me if I'm not super technical on this, determines that the South Bear Basin and the North Bear Basin have equal flows connecting to metro wastewater. And that was the purpose of the Olson study. Throughout this process, Mr. Woods has been a saint in answering questions that I've had about different things and being far more knowledgeable about this than I am. But as good neighbors, the Lopez's have been waiting for that study. They've been waiting to hope that maybe there isn't a capacity issue because it was a little bit unclear in a lot of these communications. And then ultimately, the Olson study comes out a couple of weeks ago, and it doesn't actually have that granular detail on their line. I understand that there's a recommendation to potentially break that study into additional metering of subbasins, but they can't keep waiting. And so the district has known about these issues since 2020. And if the plan is to replace the 600 feet of line in 2027 and in 2028, I apologize for saying that that's not good enough. And it's not good enough for the Lopez's. And so the Lopez's are here asking for a variance to the policy that is well intended. And when applied in the right circumstances, Mr. Lopez said, to prevent a potential 2,000 additional units, it might make sense. But in this instance, it doesn't. And its application is having potentially catastrophic consequences on a single family. And if they are permitted to plug into the line, which they will eventually plug into, it will honestly have no impact on the flow line. And this line has never backed up. There's never been a backup. Whether it's at capacity based on the metrics or not, And so adding one additional EQR is not going to have any consequence on this line, but denying the TAP application is going to have a catastrophic consequence on this family. So appreciate Mr. Woods telling me I'm out of time. Thank you all. You didn't necessarily have to hear this today. You didn't have to hear us out of order and out of line. So I really do appreciate it. I'm happy to answer any additional questions if anybody has them of me. If they're engineering related, I will decline. But on behalf of the Lopez family, appreciate at a minimum the time and the consideration, and hopefully, you understand what we're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Am I able to ask Mr. Stanley questions, or is that a sort of a procedural hiccup in the sequencing?
I believe you had your time to ask questions.
Oh, sorry, okay,
Before this is,
okay.
before the process started.
Sure, no problem.
Does anybody have questions for?
Not a question, I do have a statement, of course.
Of course.
Are we there? Are we there?
I was open for discussion.
Discussion?
Well,
You don't have a comment on this part of it?
Comments?
but yeah.
Okay.
Given all this additional information, which I was not privy to prior to the previous vote, and seeing and meeting the family, I mean, and I'm of the mind, yeah, we need to go forward with this and approve this and give the variance and grant the Lopez's their tap fees. And I'm willing to put a motion to do that.
Well, we are not done with this.
Hold on,
So-
we're ready.
So I was asking for questions, jumped a little bit ahead. Do you have any questions, questions on this presentation or any of this?
Just I read through that in the first place and already voted in favor of it.
Already voted in favor. You came in here knowing you were going to vote in favor of it.
Yes,
Okay,
why torture people?
okay. I have a lot of reasons for denying the
I know
application.
you do.
Will there be an executive session on this? No.
Okay.
And Roger, you may be obligated to vote. You're probably going to be obligated to vote.
It sounds like,
Just for the record, I prefer not to vote.
I understand. I'm anticipating.
See, I'm getting the vote the way I wanted to.
there's a majority.
What? What torture? Yeah.
So, questions? Then, I understand, I heard several statements repeated several times. And in fact, as you alluded to, this is the third time that we have heard this, first in public comment, then as an informal hearing, and now a formal hearing. All different processes. So this is another case where, because Green Mountain Board turns over so frequently, you wait long enough and you will get the answer you like. Is there? I have not heard any change. Is there any change from the last time we heard this? I did not hear any change, except to say, now it's an emergency, we want to pay. That we have the loan, construction deadlines are coming up. That's the emergency, that's what's changed.
I think that the study that is represented as providing some detailed information about this particular line was a little bit different of a study. I think it was a valuable study, but the thing that we've been kind of waiting on really didn't provide all that much additional detail specific for the Lopez's.
I understand, and maybe that was another miscommunication. Did the study that was provided, did it in any way say that we did have capacity down that line because of the study? It did a little bit more granular, like you say, we have a couple basins, but it still says no matter where it's coming from, now we've got that level, but all of those houses contribute down and it's still showing no capacity.
Well, I'm not sure that I think that
Well,
I
I can
apologize.
interject
Yeah,
here
I-
on-
That's an
on
engineering
the
question, so I should have
engineering
said.
end of it. We have two major trunk lines that run through that basin. And right now they have equal peaking factors applied to them. The study that we performed this summer was. It's either gonna validate what's spread out across the entire basin, or it's gonna say. Well, actually, 70% of the flow is coming down this trunk line and only 30% is coming down this trunk line, so that peaking factor would change and potentially reduce the total. Potential capacity running through that line. But that did not, it was within like 1 or 2%, so it didn't change
It didn't change.
the peaking factors.
And we are, we're looking at 100%. So if we were, what you are saying is that it's not going to impact the safety of that line, but that line is already unsafe. So the district will be, have to worry about one more unsafe house on this line. And my opinion, because we're at capacity, we're over capacity to where we should be. So I'm not sure. Is there a reason why you're saying negligible, but balanced between all the other capacity issues that we have isn't it doesn't matter. I wanted to go through the timeline with you again. And again, it doesn't matter, my questions don't matter, because we've had publicly stated support in the majority, so I know this is kind of a waste of time before the record. Can you repeat for me? I'm sorry, I wasn't taking good notes and now I forget.
It's okay.
The building, when was the building permit applied for?
It was applied for in April of 2023.
Okay. And you waited a year for that.
No, we got it. So the certificate of sanitary sewer availability was March 30th, 2023. Then they applied for the building permit in April of 2023, so the following month. And then the building permit was not granted by Lakewood until July of 2024. There was no waiting, it just took that long through Lakewood.
No waiting on the part of the applicant.
Yeah, like, it just was, that was the sort of, well, I won't say bureaucracy, but the process for Lakewood to approve the building permit took a year or a year and change.
Right. Okay. And so I guess I'm stumbling over why it was like it's okay that they took so long, but when we have safety concerns, we haven't identified the bureaucracy for a reason, and we have safety concerns and we will alleviate those concerns in due time. But that's not a good reason to wait. And I understand that you have financial considerations, and that was repeated several times, and I understand. But you also alluded to the 11 units that is in exactly the same spot. And that was a family construction business on Elkhire. And they built until the same spot when they had to do it. And they came to us with the same story about how it will, and it's totally heartbreaking. And it was December and they said it's Christmas and holidays and we have to lay people off and it's horrible. But
That's what I was gonna ask. How is this different from Elkhire? This board denied Elkhire.
the board, and just like the board, because we applied the same rules to everybody, same. So, but what I'm hearing is that you keep repeating, this is not a developer, not a developer, not a developer, and I understand that you mentioned campaigning before. You may believe that we're campaigning on being against developers. But could it be possible that we're just applying equal rules based on safety so that everybody has to follow the same rules?
Sure. I think the challenge with this particular, well, first of all, I can't speak to the Alkire sequence. what representations they had, what they relied on, what the board did or didn't, or what the district did or didn't
Sure.
say to them throughout their process. I think this is a unique situation. The challenge, I think, when taking a step back and not simply saying, this is, one size fits all, how we apply it to everybody. And I don't think you guys campaigned on anti-developers. What I was saying is you campaigned on wanting to help your constituents and maintain the integrity of the community. There is no difference in granting this plugin to this tap for this one EQR 3-person home than if 4 grandmothers or grandfathers move into a house, 4 different houses, excuse me, on the line. There is no appreciable difference in flows to, 4 college kids moving, or 4 kids who just graduated college moving back into their family home and re-upping that line instantaneously. I think that the application of the math and of the flows and the metrics and the projections have to be looked at from a realistic perspective. And there's a difference between wanting developers to pay their own way, wanting a developer who has 11 units that they're probably selling for $1 million a piece to contemplate for $1 million repairing or replacing the 600 feet of pipe. This isn't a developer. This is a new home, but this isn't a developer where that's an appropriate consideration. And from a cost sharing perspective, it's not pay what the equivalent of 1 EQR would be on a line of thousands. To your point, it's not even a 600 unit line. It's thousands of homes, it's thousands of EQRs. And so you add 1 more EQR and it is an immeasurable change. And so the importance is when you think about the application in the context of the timeline, what should have been represented, what shouldn't have been represented, what should have been provided, what shouldn't have been provided, and what the Lopez's relied upon, I think this is a unique situation that warrants a different result, regardless of other folks knocking on the door asking for a tap with a sob story. This is, I think, a unique situation. And the difference between December and now is we were waiting on this Olson study. The Olson study really didn't provide the data that's relevant to these people. And so now we're just waiting again. At some point, and listen, things are challenging. You want to make the right decisions. But if you knew about a capacity problem from back in 2020 and it's now 2025 and there isn't a plan until 2027 or 2028 to replace that line such that you can't serve your constituents, I think that's a challenge and that's a problem. Not a year-long building permit approval process. That is not doing what your constituents need and fundamentally not functioning as a board. And so I understand it's well-intended, but when applied in this circumstance, I think the consequences are problematic for the district when you factor in the other timelines, the information that they knew and the representations that were made.
Okay. I am going to set aside the dysfunctional nature of the board or not, as the case may be. But I will follow up with, this is not actually unusual. As a matter of fact, for those, and new board members, again, same situation, no,
Is there any way we
But
could
with
delay this and study it until the next meeting? That's been the
Yeah.
theme all year. Could we wait?
oh,
longer?
I see, yes.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah, you're right, I think, we could have a motion, but I think we need to finish out the public hearing.
Sure.
Because Alameda had exactly the same problem when they were using the same engineer, and they were still not accepting new taps up until last year.
So
So that
just a note on that, you do need to make a decision. The hearing policy calls for a written determination to be made within 15 days of the hearing. So you would need to make, you would need either to continue the hearing or you would need to have a special meeting.
can I? Do you have any other questions?
No, I like the idea of a special meeting.
since we have a public hearing, if anybody would like to comment on this matter,
Yes.
former Director Gardner.
I was gonna keep my mouth shut. Are looking at me like, what are you doing again? But that's a joke part.
Not to me.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. I was the proponent of the 7.7 DOD study. Policy change. I don't remember if I made the motion or who made the motion, I don't recall. But it was and is an arbitrary number that the board should feel comfortable, in my opinion, with changing as circumstances dictate. We're gonna disagree on this one, Carol, I'm sorry.
It's not a surprise.
I try not to. I believe we should hear in Jeff's words tonight his normal reticence to be critical of any individual, and I will tell you that I believe this family was treated with the same indifference as I received from Mr. Tyus when I was a board member. I never felt he communicated well with me, so I can't understand how he could have communicated well with you. If you were ever going to make a variance, I think this case is the one in which you should do it, and you should be proud in doing it. And you should also be proud that we have a conscience here who says, are we really doing the right thing? Those are all important functions. And why and someone wouldn't vote for this tonight, I don't understand. I would, if I were in your position, I'd move ahead and I asked them to do that. From a policy standpoint, you're covered. I will tell you, when I made the statement about offering 0.7 DOE as a number, moving from 0.8, it was simply because we knew we were at capacity. You're absolutely right. We got there going backwards because we didn't know what was going on. It took us, practically, a baseball bat to get some of this information out of Mr. Tyus when we were trying to form this policy. So it's not necessarily right. It's not wrong. It's the best we could do. And you have the opportunity to make a small change without impacting anybody else. And I don't recall these folks telling us they couldn't afford to do what happened in Alkire when we were told, because when I was a board member, that they were asking for us not to charge them for the taps. That's entirely a different thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask Professor Gardner a question?
No, we don't. We don't generally do that. Is there anybody else online who wants to raise your hand and have public comment on this matter? I see two people with no hands. And there's a hand. Willard Miller, would you like to speak?
Hi there. I remember it was Jennifer Lopez, if I remember right. I remember her coming in because I made a comment that I met Jennifer Lopez tonight. It's a sad situation. I just feel so sorry. And I understand both sides. No capacity. I just don't know how to work that one out. How do you work it out? What happens if it does explode? And then we're talking about sewer, if I'm correct, right? We're talking about sewer. If the sewer, what happens if you put one more family on this line and we have a sewer backup? Who is responsible? Who is responsible? Is it Green Mountain Water for allowing this to happen? Is it the family? How are you going to pinpoint where it happened and what caused it to happen? I can't say yay or nay. My heart goes out to this family. I wish I knew. I don't. If it was me, I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say which way I'm going to turn because it's a hard decision for all of you. I know what the rules would state for people to do. And is it 100% capacity? Is there maybe a little bit of less capacity for a couple of turds to go down the pipe? That would be, I don't know, Karen. I don't know, guys. You guys are in a really tough situation. Jennifer Lopez, I am so happy to meet you, hon. And you have a beautiful child. Good luck, guys. I am so sorry. I wish I could be more appropriate in this situation. It's a tough one. Good luck.
Oh, and our other public has dropped off, so.
I think that was.
Leadville too, okay, all right, all right. So if I'm understanding, did you say we have to make a determination tonight, or we call a special meeting?
Based on the record established, the board shall issue a written decision concerning the disposition of the dispute presented to it and shall cause notice of the decision to be hand delivered or sent by certified mail to the appellant within 15 days after the hearing. So you need to
I'm
make a
here.
decision
Today or in a special meeting?
today or in a special.
Okay. Was there a motion for a special meeting then?
I move that we have a special meeting
Okay,
2 weeks from today.
2 weeks from today.
I thought we had 15 days.
I'm not doing any, I can't make any special meetings going forward the rest of this month for the foreseeable future, so you can set your motion up. I had a previous motion that you shot down.
I don't know that it was,
His motion.
you were contemplating motion, I agree.
Yes,
Is there-
my motion.
Is there a second for tabling? I will second for tabling. Okay. But I assume no discussion? Any discussion, tabling?
Discussion.
Okay,
I mean, there's a lot going on here. There's more to this than what's been presented by both sides. I would like to see the Lopez family end up in their home. But I think we have to be fair with all parties concerned. We receive requests for variances. We will continue to receive requests for variances. I want to ensure that we do the right thing. Give this some thought, some discussion, and make a decision 2 weeks from today. I think that would be fair to everybody. We've had people before this board in the past beg us during the holiday season to grant a variance. There have been a lot of compelling testimonials and pleadings before this board in the past. So all I'm asking is 2 more weeks so that we can study this and do the right thing.
This has been going on long enough. And you're the man that always said, that always hung his hat when we were talking about the Fed Center, that, our obligation to provide quote unquote services.
I agree with you. You're correct in that.
Okay,
But the 3 of you cost us $50 million.
well,
That's $50 million that this district lost because of that decision. And that's why I'm asking again that we take some time and do this properly.
And you got that $50 million figure where?
From the tap fees, do the math.
Okay, and you show, I want to see a copy of
I'll
your,
provide it.
you provide that to me, and
But
then
the 3 of you lost this district $50 million.
we're not in the business of a, and I knew you were going to come back, sorry, I said that. I don't think we're in the business as a profit organization. Okay, we're in the business of supplying and services to our customers and protecting them. That's what we're in the business for. So you got $50 million on the table, you show that to me, and I'll still come back with you that we're not in the business of being a profit organization, okay? So,
But
given that,
for clarification, the $50 million is now going to the city of Lakewood.
well, let the city of Lakewood deal with that property. We didn't want to deal with it.
and we'll
And
speak
that's a
to,
moot point, because we've already voted that, past that. We've gone through this process. We voted on it once. I didn't have all the information and all the little ins and outs of it that I got tonight.
what?
Let me finish. I'm on the mind, and I'm of the feeling that we need to move forward with this. I did try to have a motion to get that done first. You shot it down. But then you went ahead with his motion. We need to move forward with this tonight. I'm done playing games with this board, and we need to get off the pot and go forward with other matters. We've gone long enough with this discussion. I'm not doing any more special meetings to have any more, kumbaya, feeling things with this board. I don't mind doing special meetings when they're justifiable. This one's not a justifiable. We need to move forward with this. We need to get the Lopez's moving forward with it, and we need to go on other issues relating to what we have on our agenda tonight.
What did you learn new?
Huh?
What did you learn new tonight? You said
Well,
it twice.
That the process that they went through. I did not know the process they went through. You questioned that, the gray areas and how they were communicating.
Calm down.
Let me finish.
Calm down, please.
Okay, let me finish.
I asked a rational
Okay,
question.
and I'm telling,
Okay,
the process that the Lopez's went through. I will get pissed off when I wanna get pissed
yeah,
off.
we can't do this.
You
Yes,
asked,
Director Martinez.
and I'm
Calm
telling you,
down.
they went through enough as it is. They were kinda, in my mind, were led on a little bit, and from a previous director.
Okay,
Okay, and that's what I didn't have information about, okay?
thank you. You can lower your voice. That was not needed to be yelled at me.
Well, you
Done? I don't
No,
need to
I'm
be
not done.
excluded. No,
I'm not
I
done.
did, you answered my
I'm not
question
done.
and we're moving
you
on.
did not take you didn't take my motion. Why did you take my
We're
motion?
doing something else. Will you please
Where's
calm
my motion?
down? We're gonna have to recess again. This is why we're gonna need to do another meeting because you're escalating
I'm
again.
not gonna show up to that meeting.
Fine. Conduct yourself. Anything else about the motion on the table, which is tabling until a special meeting within 2 weeks?
Do have a comment.
Okay,
I've been saving all evening.
thank you. Let's
I
have it.
think it all
That you
combines.
said even before. Yes, thank you.
The issue here is the concept of, do you follow the rules or can you have exceptions? Very simple moral dilemma. Now, I come at it from the perspective, oh, by the way, going back to the bit about the guys on alcohol. They wanted us to give them a variance that they didn't have to do the study. And we said, you have to do the study. And they were like, well, we don't want to pay for the study. And I was like, if you don't want to pay for the study, we don't do the study, you don't get the process. So entirely different than what's this situation here. Now, the matter at hand, as you all know, very easy for me because I've had a lifetime of this, dealing with exceptions. Of course, I've had my 3 years here, 8 years on council, and 8 years on the fire board. But I spent 30 years as a professional government bureaucrat, as an economist for the federal government. My whole life has been dealing with exceptions. And it's like Congress makes a law. What did they mean? We have to interpret it. Then we have to audit it, make sure they're doing it. And then once they're not doing it, then the companies come in and say, well, I need an exception. And so we had the same situation. We had the big guys, the Exxons, and then we had the little guys, Joe Punk Oil, and you had to deal with these sort of folks. And what it came down, what I learned in that lifetime of experience is that is your job when you're like this, is there are exceptions to each and every rule. And you can't sit there and say, there are no exceptions. You have to be able to make exceptions. So then the question comes, is this the exception it should be? What was frustrating to me back in my career was the oil companies would come in and say, well, make my exception, make an exception. Well, it got to the point where 49% of the companies were saying, you make an exception and the other 51% have to follow the rules. I mean, it just got absurd. This is a situation where it's not getting absurd. We're talking about one exception that proves a rule. This is the easiest vote I've ever taken in my political career. These guys obviously deserve the exception, and I can't believe we're debating this. So I've made my statement. Oh, by the way, I don't believe in the, what do we just say?
So
Postponement.
what I'm suggesting is, we don't have all the facts from either side. We've got most of them, but not all of them. I believe we need another couple of weeks to work through this and make the appropriate decision. So I'm asking for the special meeting.
Okay, for the presentation of more data by who?
I'm sorry,
What kind of data do you think we need? For us to do our own research, or are you
No.
suggesting another hearing?
No, not another hearing, just another meeting.
Okay,
There's things that many of us can bring to the meeting,
okay. Okay,
okay? I mean, that's
Well-
compelling arguments on both sides.
So. So no. No, the presentation of evidence must be from the district manager and from the appellant. And the directors may not and should not consider any information learned outside of the hearing in making this decision.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
So the hearing is a self-contained event essentially, so you need to make your decision based on what you've heard tonight, what's in the record, and what's been presented to you. Which is not to say that you can't take time to consider the evidence, but you cannot do any independent research.
I didn't want to, and,
does that change your mind?
No.
Okay.
I still think we need a couple of weeks to consider this. I know nobody's in agreement.
Let's see, any other discussion? This is just on tabling.
yes, the word, in engineering and physics, that word negligible is, it's actually a very powerful word. And it means that it ain't gonna make any difference whatsoever if you add the Lopez onto an already existing huge development that I used to live up there, 13,000 West Exposition. And those people aren't gonna dump any more poop in there than anybody else. It's not, I know it's funny, but we're torturing them over issues that are, we think we know something about the mathematics, when we don't. All the data and the information was skeptical, possible, it could be, all that kind of language. And when you deal with those numbers, you have to. But this exception is infinitesimally small compared to, we can't even consider this question if we're also adding in things like big development someplace else. Because they don't apply. Anyway, that's all I got. That word negligible.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta listen, that's the first thing he said. It's what I was seeing when I was looking at the paper at noon when I was sitting around my kitchen table. Anyway.
Yes, so this has all been a big waste of time for you. I understand.
No, I didn't.
I
say-
understand.
No,
All right,
you're-
so discussion, that's your last one. All those in favor of waiting for 2 weeks then? For the motion, I will, yes. That is Director Wendell and Morgan in favor. Motion fails. Nays being Whitman, Martinez, and Hardinger. Director Martinez,
motion now.
please make a motion.
All right, I move for a motion to grant the variance and approve their tab and let's put this matter to bed now.
Second that.
Second by Director Whitman. Any other discussion?
I think it's inappropriate at this time. It's unfair to the other constituents that we've dealt with in the past that we have to deal with in the future. This seems very inappropriate at this time.
And since you all said yes, it won't be, I agree. That's why I voted against it before, and I understand the negligible argument, but I also have to say that this. And you spoke eloquently, Director Wickman, about the exceptions. In my opinion, that is why this exact argument has won for the past 20 years and has led us to 100% capacity instead of the 0.8 where we should be. Because nobody made the adult decision to say we had to draw the line. And that's what, and apply the rules equally until we get it under control and be safe. 0.8 was safe. The 100 is beyond it, so I'm not in favor of any more lines. So, be that as it may, all those in favor? Director Hardinger, Martinez, and Wickman. Motion passes, nays being, Wendell and Morgan. Good?
So we quit torturing these people.
Very good. Thank you. We look forward to working with you in future. Which you will.
Never come back with another project.
I'm sorry you're having.
Bye. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
It's amazing to see how look was out there. That is pretty amazing. But you did a good job. High five. Good job.
Thank you for your time. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you.
I made this.
Thank you.
Now. I was kind of like you, makes the most sense at the very beginning. We voted on it.
Well.
Didn't see that one.
Right, just sausage made, you know?
Thank you. Appreciate it. That's about all I normally have, unless there's lots of questions. Thank you so much.
Anybody else question?
That's where I am.
Sorry, you can
Dylan can answer that.
Well, you know, with mine now.
I was when I had to stand up and say.
I heard you. Yes, I did. Every breath, yes. Okay. Well, we are up for public comment next. You're done.
I've been feeling guilty about 0.7 for a long time.
Two stalls.
Remember when you were so proud of
I used to.
You'd rather-
I believe it's the right thing. And that probably takes.
I've been here for a long time.
Data.
I've seen the depths that it can descend to.
That's right.
I do prefer this.
No, yeah, concept was fine. 0.8 was good. It's all good. I mean, whatever.
It doesn't cause my blood pressure to go up
Every
one bit,
rule.
so you don't go home feeling stressed even in the slightest.
I was doing that.
Yeah, I do have blood pressure actually.
And backups.
Regretfully.
Obviously.
You know,
Obviously.
The math.
I was gonna say,
there's all sorts
if
of.
we wanted to be really safe,
Can't.
we should have made it
Yeah.
0.6.
Somebody.
Oh.
What?
I think Alex.
Yeah, but at some point, there's.
Sir, if you don't mind, I think I'll ask if the auditor can.
And it's like, did it start with regular size?
Really short, if that's okay. I know it's work.
We might as well, since there's all free
Yeah.
for all at this point.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
We have no recess on the schedule either.
It's not really surprised each.
It's not.
Well, we have it 24
minutes.
I thought it'd be 2 minutes each. and we'd be done.
So we need to share that.
I just, you know, it's.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Who's east and north?
That's my bag. My sister and my dad went to Ireland when I was a kid.
Oh, that's the Irish one?
My sister got me the cross.
That's sweet.
I was gonna say, that's not Eastern Orthodox.
No,
No?
it's 3.
Oh, is it got, the Orthodox got and then they got a middle one and then one on the bottom.
So it's the
wife read
the representation of the sign hung on his head
Oh. I bet
The
you
crossbar
we're not.
and the sheet. So it's 3 horizontal bars on the Orthodox church across.
For the Orthodox.
The city staff. And the vaccines.
They take that bird some.
Why? I really honestly don't have enough time.
Huh?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Shit.
We're gonna talk about this. Next Tuesday.
Oh,
You doing good?
yeah, cause it's, they're not saying anything. They're not
Still
saying,
not sure I'm doing this right.
They're saying. They won't do it. On,
I got it.
on their plan, no, they're planning, they're written down.
I get it. Getting hammered on this. That's a lot of zeros.
But if you have
Once you get it past
the
10 bucks.
response, there's no, we're not,
Yeah.
we have no contract.
We can always-
There's just employees,
Schedule
but
some time,
I think so, I think so.
it's the
Yeah,
usual,
very good.
they
yeah.
say once a month.
Absolutely mentioned.
Reach out to her if you want.
Yeah, all my whiskey.
Want to get energized.
That's a big problem.
It's all William's fault.
Well, I know what they say about lawyers.
He sits there, he's like. oh, Nothing but. I wish I was supposed to go up there and eat that nice restaurant. And Mexican when we were out, you know. It's good morning.
And, or you don't.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't get that every day.
Yeah, by the night.
Tomorrow's Wednesday.
Oh, it's
That's an opportunity.
Can we, while we, wait, see if, there's any other public comment that would be next on the agenda while we wait? In the room, there was none, but Melissa, do you have a general public comment? Why don't you go ahead?
I do have a general public comment. Thank you. I had one waiting.
And
Good
we had a
evening.
little impromptu recess there, and we are still waiting for one director, if you don't mind speaking to 4 out of 5 of us.
I love speaking to all of you. Well, no, I don't have to wait for everybody. I just can speak
Okay.
to all of you. Well, who's there? Good evening, Green Mountain Water Board. You made a tough decision. I don't know what to do on that one. If it explodes, the 3 that voted for it will have to fix the damn pipe. There you go. Director Morgan, I want to thank you for creating the Lakewood Informer and writing a majority of the articles. You're keeping abreast on Lakewood's shenanigans. I guess that's an appropriate word for what the city of Lakewood does behind the scenes. You're doing so much for the community. I know you may not hear it enough, but we appreciate the time you spend on our behalf. On top of it, the signs you created, thank you. Haven't received an HOA letter yet saying it's against their policy to display the signs. I'm waiting and I'm ready for them. Director Wendell, geez, Roger, you have a very impressive title, VP and Secretary. I'm impressed. I am confident that you are going to get this one. Director Hardinger, I also want to thank you for taking your personal time to drop off the signs. That was above and beyond your call of duty. Hopefully you didn't run.
Are they still there?
Barely. One got pushed over and one got squashed over. Yes. Hopefully I didn't run your ear off complaining. Director Wagman, Director Martinez. Hello, Josh. Nice to see you there. Keep our water flowing. And you know what to do with the other stuff. Hello, Dylan. Oh, you were talking about the Russian cross, the Orthodox cross. I'm Orthodox. I'm a Russian Orthodox, and I have a big cross on around my neck right now. Hello, Dylan. Is Evergreen following Polis's order, finding every little parcel of land to stick a barn, a shack, and say it's a home? I remember not too long ago, there was a man trying to sell his parents' land, and there was a problem because if a person wanted to build a home, the septic system would be too close to the road. If I remember correctly, he was having a hard time. I think it was with Jefferson County Health Department. They wouldn't bend the rules at all. And I don't know who's in oh, it is Jesse. Hey, Jesse. And David Gardner is in the house. Hello, I'd say it in a foreign language, but I think I would be arrested. Okay, just 2 points. The ravine and the fabrication of the bridge. How are we doing? Anyone sitting on Lakewood's doorstep waiting for the permit? Well, I guess that was 3 points. Never mind. Nothing really important tonight, obviously, because I'm just dishing out a bunch of well-deserved kudos to everyone that deserves them. So here's one more. For the letter to the city of Lakewood disregarding the state statute. Way to go on that one. Somebody was really on top of that. I guess you don't have that much to do you, Director Morgan? What a great catch. Again, that's it for tonight. You guys have a great meeting. Be respectful. And I will talk to you at the next meeting. Good night.
Good night, thank you. And that's the end of public comment. We had a suggestion to allow our next presenter to go so that she can go home after a long meeting. So if there are no objections to having the auditor's report now, anybody speak now? Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, my name is Debbie Crady. For those who don't know me, I'm the auditor for Green Mountain Water and Sanitation District. I am a partner on the engagement, and there's just two of us in the firm. We're both partner levels, so we always say you get good partner experience. We've been doing this for a very long time. So I normally start out with, you should have gotten 3 documents from me. The first one is a board communication letter. That's a couple pages. A management recommendation letter, that's a couple pages, and then the audit report. For the communication letter, we're just required, that one. On the communication letter, it's a letter we're required to give to the board at the end of the audit. And the first thing I want to point out is, these are your financial statements. Management's responsible for the selection and use of appropriate accounting policies. All significant accounting policies are described in note 1 to the financial statements. During the year, we didn't adopt any new policies per se. GASB 101 went into effect, which is compensated absences, but it didn't affect how you were counting for your compensated absences. It really applied to districts who had sick leave policies or something like that. We've already recorded those, so there's no change in how those were reflected in the statements year over year. The most significant estimates in your statements are depreciation expense, which we do look at for reasonability, and then also the calculation of the OPEB and the pension liabilities, and all that information comes from the actuaries from PARA. We rely on that information to then calculate your proportional share of the liability. There were no difficulties encountered with management in dealing and performing cleaning our audit. There was some adjustments during the audit. The only one that I really found where we made an adjustment was for the federal center costs. There was everything had been put aside in a reimbursement account, and before the audit was completed, we actually realized 50% of that was going to be borne by the district anyways, so we expensed that. If we hadn't had an agreement, we would still expense that because we wouldn't have known what what you would have gotten back. So we kind of talked to Doug about that. Like going forward, you have expenses that you think you're gonna get reimbursed for. We really can't not expense those unless we're certain that we're gonna get that money back. So we did make an adjustment for that. There was an error that Doug had found that he notified of us. So we don't consider that like an error per se, because he did notify us. We made those adjustments. And then we also make adjustments as part of our engagement letter, which you probably saw way back when, and probably last year in November or something like that. And we make entries for pension, OPEB, and we assist with the accounting related to the subscription-based liabilities. And let's see, no disagreements with management on financial accounting, reporting, or auditing matters. And at the end of the audit, which report date would be today, we'll get a management representation letter from management. So any questions on that letter? And then the next thing, just kind of highlight, and I did go over all these with Doug before, is just, these are just recommendations that we have that we think will improve the accounting for the district. Nothing of any concern per se. They're just things, that will help. So the first one was tracking the agreements. Last year, we introduced a new standard for subscription-based liability. Subscription-based information technology. arrangements. And so now we have to look at IT agreements for longevity to see if there's a potential liability out there. And so we recommended that maybe he could split those out from maintenance agreements, because you have a lot of different agreements right now that go in this account that we have to wade through. So I've talked to Doug about that, so I'm not sure where he stands on that one, but that would just make it easier for us. You're not doing anything wrong. The way accounts word is fine. It's just more for our assistance. Any questions on that?
When you say IT agreements, are you talking about IT, or what is IT?
So it could be any information technology. So in your case, the Badger meter reading software,
Right.
that's actually the liability agreement that we actually recorded on the statements, because it's long-term.
Do we have maintenance on it?
It's a separate,
We do have a maintenance.
yeah, and the maintenance is.
I'll ask about that. No,
It's a
thank you.
separate, but yeah, so we actually look at that, and you have to separate it out.
Yeah,
It's
thanks.
a,
Okay.
it's,
I'll learn something.
but yeah,
Do they come out and check it? If they check it, they're on something. We call them, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
any other questions? Enhanced procedures over the capitalization of long-term projects. So the Badger meter, the endpoint replacement project was done in like from 2017 all the way till this year. And when they came into the ledger, we grouped them as one large item, and we recommend that he breaks them out just so we can properly calculate the depreciation easier. I talked to Doug about that. I think he understands what we're looking for, and I think he's gonna implement that going forward. Any questions on that? It wasn't that it's incorrectly calculated, it's just in the future years, it could be confusing if Doug weren't here or someone else came in. We had one journal entry that wasn't material to the statements related to a receivable from Bear Creek that didn't get applied against the receivable. So just making that last minute overview to make sure that those receivables sitting out there really make sense. I know he ties everything out, but just maybe that last glance over. I feel like when you're in the weeds, sometimes you just miss this. And then the only other thing was the reimbursement cost, which is what we already discussed with the federal center. So any questions on anything? Nothing really concerned. Doug is fantastic and has always been very good about getting our information to us quickly. I don't really have to wait, he's very responsive and that's very appreciated on our part, so.
So maybe I don't have to worry about signing those things. He's one.
Not enough, that's your oversight. I count on that oversight. The oversight is part of what we look at to say you have good controls.
Pretty good.
So, and then for the financial statements themselves, we do a draft the statements for the district. But the important part is third page in, which is our independent auditors report. And you do have a clean opinion, which is the most important part of your statements. We review them to make sure they're materially stated. And the audit opinion kind of outlines your responsibilities and our responsibilities. And so that, from the auditor report, also, and the MD&A is prepared by Doug. We do look at that to make sure it's reasonable. And then really what makes up the bulk of your footnotes is obviously the pension disclosure. It's like 20 pages of information. We get most of that. Para actually provides a template, which is super helpful. And we use that template to compute the footnotes because it's very lengthy information to make us pretty next. So, anybody have any questions on anything we do, the statements?
Oh, yeah, a question.
Okay.
Maybe on the intergovernmental agreements.
Okay.
Section 8.
Yeah, if you have any insight or wording would be fine,
Well,
be appreciated.
They all seem appropriate, but
Okay.
As of essentially July this year, the Big Sky IGA is back in effect. So
Okay.
I think that we have one to add here,
Okay,
and I can give you
that'd
I can put together a
be
paragraph
perfect.
and send it to you.
Yep, that'd be great.
I think Doug had removed it.
Well,
Is it?
it's not on the list,
It's not on the list, okay.
so maybe we can just pull from a past year.
I'm not even Sure, we had that on there, so we'll have to look.
Okay.
It got overlooked.
But that was the only question I had.
Okay,
We're gonna have to be required to give them water and sewer,
Just sewer.
just sewer.
Any other questions? That's all I have. Well, thank you for your good suggestions and excellent work as usual. Thank you. Was always a lot to
Thanks.
digest.
Yeah. I always learn something in accounts. I never forget it.
Yes, in retrospect, you should have gone first. Sorry.
No,
you're
kidding.
fine.
Sorry.
That's okay. But if that's it, then I think I'm done, and we just need to have this filed by the end of the month. The extended due date was September 30th, so we'll get that filed by then.
Are you flexing or raising?
No,
Okay.
I'm just pressing my fingers.
So I'm sorry, is this something we need to approve?
They normally do.
We do, right? And then sign the,
Sign a letter.
Yeah, the rough letter will come later, but, and one person, normally like Doug and then it's three. I don't even know, I mean, it doesn't have to be the board members, it can just be management, so it's really up to how the board wants to handle it.
do we have drafted the letter? To sign yet?
The management rep letter, no, I normally just send it when this is done and we know we're.
Okay. So do we have a motion to what? To
So
approve
moved
this?
to approve the
Auditor's
auditor's
report.
report.
Okay, second by, motion by Director Hardinger, second by Director Whitman, any discussion? Everybody awake, all in favor, unanimous approval, okay. All right.
Thank
very
you so much, we appreciate working with you guys.
We appreciate you being here and waiting.
Would it help
Again.
facilitate if I was to sign off on the letter when it comes through, or do you wanna do that at the October meeting?
Well, you need it.
We'll have to have it by just September.
You should
30th.
sign it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I can't release the audit without it.
I think I usually do, but it would be fine if you did. It's what was approved.
And it's just really saying that you told me everything you're supposed to tell me, and then if you didn't leave anything out, that's really what the representation letter is. Basically, everything in here is really right.
Okay,
So that's really just,
okay. Fantastic.
all right, thank you, have a good evening.
Thank you. Be nice to have that done. Okay. So we can go back up to the beginning of the meeting and look at approval of the minutes.
Okay, August 12th minutes. Sufficiently detailed and sufficiently accurate. So I didn't find anything of substance wrong with the minutes. However, there are a number of mechanical errors. And I've been on the phone with Josh to correct those. And just for our note taker and for the record, a couple of things that Josh and I have covered were, for example, agenda page 4. I asked for a little bit more explanation as to why Whiteman's motion had failed. There was no note as to what that was all about. Josh added that. So not a big deal, but I was looking for some clarification. And then further on the agenda on page 5, I'm missing articles, and just grammatical errors that were very minor. But something that was really out of place. There was Director Hardinger had moved to approve operating expenses, and that was under financial matters. That same exact motion was repeated again on the agenda, page 6, under district reports. So I think Josh has worked to remove that and everything that he and I discussed. These are just mechanical errors. Like I said earlier, the notes are accurate and sufficient. Just a couple of big glaring mechanical errors, and Josh has corrected those.
Thanks.
Okay, so motion to approve the minutes?
Yes, I move that these minutes be approved on August 12th.
All right, as amended, that you worked out.
Yeah, as amended.
Okay. Second,
Sure.
second by Director Hardinger. Any other discussion? thank you for your detailed analysis and
Yeah,
corrections.
that's pretty good.
Appreciate somebody doing that. Um. Yeah, all in favor? Unanimous approval. Thank you very much. Financial matters? Do you have treasurer have anything to say or make a motion to approve?
Sorry, I guess I was supposed to have it before.
If you have checked them and want to just move to approve them, or
Approve.
anybody can do.
Yeah, I like how it's presented, and the auditor's looking at it too. I like how we run the business,
Okay,
but that's all I don't even.
I-
I'm sorry, I don't even give you much of a report, I should.
that will be fine. I will move to accept the daily monthly operating reports and the audited financial investment report. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Second by Director Martinez. Thank you. Any discussion? Yes.
Put Jesse on the spot here, just curious, I found this in the financial report. What is a 4 terabyte hot plug hard drive?
It is a hard drive that you can pull out while it's spinning. They're just the hard drives that are in the server. They're a very particular type of 10,000 RPM drive. That's what we have in the server.
Are they really hot?
No, temperature wise, no, but hot swap means you can swap it while it's running.
And not to nitpick, I mean, it's a reasonable expense, $1,200. But the idea is what if it's failing, you can pull it out and put another one in its place?
Correct, but that's just how they all are. Like,
Okay.
it's just, you have to get the specific drive down. So, and that's on our older replication server, so, I think actually the one it might be cheaper. Dell sent the wrong drive as an error in their own thing, so, just ship back that drive. They sent the wrong one, so I think.
And again, I don't see anything unusual about this, I was just mostly curious as to what it was. Jesse, and then, possibly for Josh, maybe Doug, I know he's not available this evening. Under the payroll liabilities, we have 401k retirement account. Is that the same as para?
No, 401k is a voluntary employee only contribution.
And it's optional.
Yes.
Do we match those funds?
No.
So why would we have an $824 expense related to that?
It's being paid to para by Doug through payroll, it's being deducted from the employees.
Okay. Again, I don't see anything in error, anything inappropriate, I was just curious, so.
We offer 457 and a 401k optional employee only contribution.
So that would be a pre-tax, but he still has to pay tax on when he takes it out, right?
It just goes to para on behalf of the employee, so it comes out of our, they're paying it on our behalf.
I always got dumb questions.
We employee knows before them.
Okay, that's all I've got, thank you very much.
Thanks for looking at this.
Do you have a question?
Is that drive part of an array?
Huh?
That hot drive part of an array?
Yeah, we have several different grades that we use on the server.
So it's one of the drives in the array.
Yeah, so you can't, it's specific to the type that you have to get or else the grade.
So
I
Badger,
didn't know they still made those.
Badger made you send a note to me when I had a leak last, or 2 weeks ago. That was
Okay,
Badger.
so on the motion to approve? Any other? Yes,
I just wanna make one note that we did work out the compliance issue, so the board packet is now on the website as well as the agenda, so.
Oh, okay, great.
As of this meeting, they're on.
okay, fantastic. All in favor? Unanimous approval. District manager report.
Okay, not a huge month, report from me, we had one main break in August, moving our total to 11, so we're. Below our average, so that's always nice. Cold months yet to come. The one that we did have was, from pipe installed in 1990. In an area which has probably some hot soil. Along with some ground movement that caused that line to break. So nothing out of the ordinary, but absolutely just corrosive.
Gross.
Yeah. Just our ongoing maintenance, the guys are out there turning valves, fire hydrants, replacing valves, replacing fire hydrants. When they go through the maintenance process. When it's not working, we solve it out. The ravine comments have been resubmitted to Lakewood, so we are at a phase right now, and we got the comments addressed by Respec last week. And those have been resubmitted to Lakewood, so right now, they have the easements, they have the, all the paperwork for that. All comments have been addressed on their plans except for the demolition piece and the ownership or agreement, whatever, that's still trying to be worked out. with the board and the city council. And for our meeting just past April, that was kind of at a staff level, an agreement that we came to was we addressed everything but the ownership and demolition, so we can get the repair or the reroute.
Do we get any PR out of this, or is this just another pain in the butt to do that, or we're just fixing?
Well, I think the only PR that can come of this would be negative PR.
Yeah.
If something were
Could be my reaction.
were to fail.
Yeah.
You can get some, yeah.
Thanks.
So we're patiently waiting for to hopefully be issued
As of a week ago.
as of last week, yes.
I'm sort of guarding their reputation. I take it personally when somebody says something negative about agreement on the water board.
Okay.
Denver Water did respond to the fluoride letter. I provided all that to the board as well. And just reiterated on their end with the different organizations that have looked at the data. And they're gonna continue to introduce any fluoride necessary to maintain that. So
So they're keeping the 0.7.
Yeah.
Nothing's changed.
So how many other districts weighed in?
I honestly, I couldn't answer that. This letter we sent was to the board of directors for Denver Water and Julie Bowers, who's the liaison for Denver Water, had submitted a response, and then that letter is given to the board.
Because we had some backup when we were going to the state house, there's various issues there, so I just wondering how much backup we got on that. Just
This one we didn't
didn't ask.
We just on behalf of the board of directors to tag everyone.
What about the state house?
Well, when we go down to the,
Yeah.
you know,
This was not a lobbying effort, it was just.
It starts at the EPA level, they set the guidelines.
Right.
The states can
Okay.
be more stringent if they want their. DRP, or dirt planning, district infrastructure replacement project planning it's underway. We've presented pipe replacement streets to the design engineers. They hit the ground running, getting plan profile done. Potholing, getting actual locations of the pipe. So we're gonna have a meeting next week as a status update, see where we are in the process. Sam and I projected right now that with the amount of money available to us, we're replacing about 4% of pipe that is due for replacement in the district. And it's about 1.84% of overall water pipe in the district, so
Say that number again.
roughly 4% of pipe that's due for replacement, so if it's aged out, we have a certain linear footage in that bucket. And those are the bucket, this is the area we're concentrating on, is getting the,
Well, I'm trying to put it in context. Is it 4% of the whole, or is it 4% of some smaller subset?
right, 4% of a smaller subset of pipe that's aged out.
Aged out.
Yeah, it's like, it's past its expected life expectancy, so we're.
So how much of the total system has been?
Total system is 1.84% of total pipe being replaced.
Boy, at that rate, it's gonna take us a long time. Sorry, never mind, I'm just.
But it's, so the amount of pipe that is due for replacement, that's kind of like a revolving door. As years go by, pipe comes into that window, pipe gets replaced, it exits that window. So we have pipe installed in 2010, that's not gonna be targeted right now because of it has plenty of life expectancy. Right now, we're targeting pipes from like the 50s and 60s.
Has there been any customer concern about the $20 for dirt?
We get several calls, more in the earlier half of the year because it was a new charge. And yes, some people have expressed some displeasure. Some have been for it. Some have been indifferent. They just wanted to know, what the charge was, so.
And as you may recall, and for the record, it was actually going to be double that. So a bit of a compromise to help our customers out.
And we could double it during this year's budget so that we could do more like 8 or 10% and accomplish this in a reasonable time.
Yeah.
Or 8.
And that the metal pipes are the ones that are tricky, you know?
The older metal pipe, yes.
Yeah.
Any new pipe that's ductile line, our standard pipe that we use is gonna be the plastic PVC. It's chemical resistant. It's very thick walled, heavy duty pipe. Excuse me, so you've less tendency for corrosion. Certain cases, depending on if there's an environmental concern, which we have, I think, one street that was within a quarter mile of a spill at a gas station. Those Denver water requires ductile iron with a special gasket that doesn't allow anything to leach in. But that pipe gets wrapped in plastic, so it has a barrier between the soil and the
Is that only a problem if it lasts, I mean, if you continually expose it to the organic chemistry?
Any other questions there? Development reviews, proposed hotel on Bayard that we've been speaking about the last few months. We've received their funds and Olson is in process of providing a technical memo on their impact to portion of the system that they're connected to, so.
Are they gonna connect into the same portion that these guys are on?
No. They're gonna go down Union to Alameda and it goes down through Edinburgh Park, so they're a little bit north of the Kentucky. That big green line up there.
Thank goodness.
As stated before, we sent an email out to developers letting them know that we are developing a cost sharing agreement that could potentially be approved by the board for capacity restricted areas. The 533 Van Gordon has, I think they've declined on at this time pursuing with their full study.
So really, they're sitting on it now for years. I didn't see that one coming.
Yeah. Any questions on development?
What about the guys over here on the Alameda? Can't remember the number.
Oh, the 12364, that was, last month we talked about, their impact is gonna require pipe replacement and they're on board to make those changes to, allow their development to continue, so. I don't know if they actually own the property yet, but, I'm projecting that's a late 26 project if they move forward. Anything else? Infrastructure replacement projects, everything's moving. Dirt has been done for a little while. I'm sorry, Dirt 3, which is the sewer lining project, that's been done since. I want to say mid-July, somewhere in there. 1 and 2, they're progressing. It's been pretty smooth. They're on schedule at this time, so they're looking at to have all of that wrapped up for the program, which is kind of a new territory. I don't know if you remember last year, we had to carry over a portion of the project for asphalt restoration.
Still minor compared to.
Yeah.
But this will be great.
Yeah, it'll be
Game
in
changer.
and out on that calendar year, which is.
Fantastic, fantastic work and better done and cheaper done, so. Lots to be said in this.
Yeah, we're gonna put together a report on the. What it would have cost us had we done the $500,000 overlay versus what details RG and Associates put together that they would have approved.
Oh, yeah.
And see what kind of a cost saving on restoration. That we could end up with. So
Okay,
it's gonna be hopefully pretty significant.
excellent. Thanks for getting it all done. That's big.
That's all I have.
All right, question for the manager? All right, thank you. Director of Matters, we are half done. So the water rights attorney, unless I'm going to beg for a tabling on this again because I came up with a new lead this morning that I would like to pursue.
Ooh.
And if there is anything, I don't think this is still pressing. It sounds like that we are not proceeding with this project.
That we tabled it.
We could just put it on there for next month, so I don't forget, but, I will report back, has anybody else had a chance to, did you want to research any of these? No,
I
okay.
mean, I looked at the websites and went over, what they said about themselves and, have a general consensus on one. That if we were going to look to move on something tonight, I would, be willing to go with, but if you want to table it, I'm good for that too, to do a little bit more, but I did look at them.
Thank you.
And not to drag this out, but timing wise, what are we looking at? Are we trying to meet a deadline or something?
This, I was specifically looking for the Big Sky properties, and they have not come back with questions or engineering designs yet. So we, I think we still have time on it. But we do still have time on it, because we can wait to get our questions answered no matter what, but we are not causing them delay at this point.
Well, I'm in a hurry.
Change of use policy. Josh sent around the draft. Anybody have time to look at that? Do you have any comments? I thought it was great. Thank you very much for putting it together.
I had one. Just a comment. The reconnection allowed within 5 years, and then you sort of inherit the tap fees. Is that intended to be phased in like 20%? Or is that absolute?
Well, right now, we only have, I believe, one in the district that has been disconnected because of them in the building, so. I think that's typically if somebody pays or does pays their tap fees up front, they have like a 2-year window.
Mm-hmm.
But since they've been an established customer of the district, that was just a kind of a placeholder.
You're referring to the building there on Union? Elaborate a little more. I noticed all gone, they turned it into a parking lot.
Well, nothing official, but I got from my contact over there when they did the demolition, that at some point they're looking to expand the health campus.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
On a parking lot, that's it.
Well, they haven't moved forward with any sort of plans or any sort of new building, but for now, yeah, it's just gonna be.
Okay, so in the long run, they're thinking about building something.
Yeah.
Now,
They
if,
don't have toxic waste though.
oh shit, now if that's done. Maybe you've already said this, do their tap fees or connections that they had before, does that transfer over to a new building going in or?
They get credit at today's dollars for what was paid. So say if it's 1.5 inches, they're going back in with another 1.5 inches, there's no money exchanged. Cause they've already paid their system quality fee. Or sorry, their tap there. But if they upsize, they would pay the difference between the 1.5 inches and whatever the new cap size is.
I don't care either way. I've seen it done both ways, where you get full 5 years and then it just drops off, but I've also seen a 20% reduction in each of the 5 years until it's 0.
Okay,
So,
yeah. And that's, I guess, I can add that in to this policy here and recirculate it.
Can you say it again? I hear the dropping off, and what was the other option? Just,
At 5 years,
it's gone.
gone.
yeah,
And it's kind of
So
a
you-
prorating kind of.
right, yeah, so you get 5 full years of credit or 5 years of diminishing credit. Should,
Good suggestion. Options. Anybody have a preference, ideas? I like the dropping. I like the diminishing. Although there's something else to keep track of, so
Alright.
maybe that's too much to keep track of.
Not really, because we have a maintenance record of, an observation when we go out to inspect the disconnect, make sure that that's done according to Denver water standards, and the time starts from that point. So we have a record of the disconnect, so it's not anything hard to track.
Okay. Well, great, then I would suggest that. Other thought, no, okay, I'm not hearing arguments, so if you would do that, that would be great. I'm wondering about with respect to fees. So this is change of use. And it kind of is coming up because of the city changes. The city already, as of 2 weeks ago, and then again last night, the zoning code is 50% done, single family is gone. What I think should be made a little bit clear in here. And I can redline and send it back since we're doing the 20 anyway, but it's is to say that this is a change of use from when the tap was first granted. Or what, as of this date, and here you said historical usage, but I mean, so if tomorrow, if in this winter, if you are monitoring and you find that the home is double the capacity and we drive by and find out that there's 10 cars in there or something, and so now it's increased capacity. And they will say, so I think it needs to be made clear that just because the city says that's okay, that is still per our thing, a change from the tap that they were granted. So I guess that's just what I would like to make clear, not historical, but we'll just put in there, but it is historic, that could stay, but change any new or increased service demand from the time of the last tap or inspection or whatever would be good in there.
Yeah, so if the classification changes, say, well, for us, it would be classifications, but if it was a single family residence and now it's a single family residence with a coffee shop.
Or, I mean,
Or it, there's,
I wouldn't be surprised.
you know, multiple families living in the home, or is that?
yeah, cause it can still look like the single family home, even if they didn't put a new, they're kind of focused on a new front door. But if they have put rented out each bedroom to the family, or did half beds in the basement like they did in Denver and have 30 people living in the basement. And rent that out, that's a change of use that we wouldn't necessarily see except for water usage that you are finding, so. We don't, I guess we would call that multifamily,
Yeah, I mean,
but we don't currently have a classification for that.
no.
Do we need to create a new classification for that?
Well, I think we need to go through like a rate analysis as part of this change in the Lakewood zoning, so we're keeping up with the changes.
Well, I guess along the same line, the ADUs, we've been charging them separately the full amount. Are these new rules gonna throw that in the question?
I think it just allows for potentially more than one ADU on a property.
Are we still charging full?
As of right now, yes.
I don't, what would be the problem with just saying this is no longer a single family, if we see the things spiking, we find that they're in there, does multifamily have to have multiple addresses? This is now, multifamily can be in one address with one front door, it's based on the usage in the families. So why can't we just say it is now being used as a multifamily, because it is. That's what it is, it's just changing the definition of multifamily. If we even have a definition of multifamily, hey, it could be at the same address, not.
Our building classifications are based off of Jefferson County assessor data, so. If it's labeled multifamily because it's a duplex, even though they have one connection serving both the units at a 3 inch, it still falls underneath the multifamily class. So I think having an expert help us in developing these new classifications would be probably our best approach.
Are you gonna need to revise your models? Also,
Yeah, so Sam and I have been talking, and this will all be presented when the budget kicks off. A rate study. And then more model studies to accommodate these new and changing zoning codes. Because right now, a single family in our model is still one EQR, but you have to be able to plan for one of those single family EQR lots turning into something else. And if we don't have that engineered in, then we can fall behind on potential demand that's hitting the system.
Which is another reason why I did not vote for the variance tonight. But why, I'm not understanding, and maybe it's just because it's late, but. What, I'm hearing you say a rate study. And I guess I just don't understand what the rate, how the rate, because you wouldn't know how multifamily the rates that a multifamily would be. I guess I'm not understanding. If you know there's multiple families living in there, then why wouldn't you just classify it as a multifamily? Why do you need a study to say this will be a multifamily?
Well, that would be a lot of oversight on our end to be constantly monitoring the system when you can just build it in to the classifications as a whole. Like if single family zoning is gone, that will change how we look at what used to be a single family parcel.
Okay. So you're saying apply the same thing no matter what's going on there,
That's the theory, yeah.
have every property then be assessed at some kind of maybe a mid-level between saying that there's a 30, so I will be, for my single family, I would pay for 10, potentially 10 people, and the 30 family would meet in the middle someplace.
That's the idea.
Okay, that's not what I was thinking. I guess I was just envisioning the more oversight and checking per, because you can set a flag on the winter usage to say if you vary 10%, I mean, that's all in the meters now, right?
Yeah.
So if you set a flag and if you vary 10%, then we'll do an inspection and say, oh yeah, this looks like more people here or not.
Yeah, I just don't know how we would find that information out. Unless they're willing to provide that information.
What information are you talking about? How many people are living there?
Yeah,
How it's being used?
yeah. I mean, you can look at, you know, a lot of people are creatures of habit, you know, like my water bill hasn't changed, you know, ever since I moved there. We moved into my home because we had to shower so much and irrigate so much, so
You stink a lot.
Yeah. if, say, you know,
Yeah.
the home sells and a new family moves in, family of four, and they have two kids that like to shower 3 times a day. You know, that water usage is gonna change
Yeah.
based on that information alone, so.
Mm-hmm.
And how are you going to go up to somebody's head and inspect your house? Somebody comes to my house, what do you tell you? No, you're not. You know, you have no rights. You have no rights to inspect somebody's property.
We're just toying with the idea of new user classes, to match what's potential at the property. And these are just being kicked around right now, we don't have this is an ever-changing.
Right now, we charge you based on usage, which, what's the tier bid all about? So that would be, like, some people will pay more per gallon than.
Well, right now we have thresholds, so your base tier is established in the winter months when we know nobody's irrigating. And that number becomes I think it's the minimum is like 3,000, so it's like 3,000 gallons to like 16, and then it goes to the next tier, so if you use more water in the winter, you have more flexibility of what your first tier rate is.
What you are suggesting completely eliminates the need for this change of use policy. So I think we
Not necessarily, I mean, this is.
table it for.
This is over, you know, this is maybe a single family resident, or if it was an office space. Changing into,
Yes, but you've already said that you're not gonna be, let's consider this going forward, and if you want to develop, I think. Yes, on the one hand, everybody who is supporting the zoning changes, which it sounds like Lakewood is everywhere, so if you want to. I think that means, yes, we need to immediately raise more infrastructure fees and say, because we have this, so everybody gets a new. Increased capacity for zoning changes fee to up the capacity based on whatever you find out in the study. So that's what that would mean to me. But if you are not saying, okay. If you're not doing it by individual houses and you're just applying a blanket. Everybody pays the same multi-family rate everywhere. then you would, unless you have a retail, then you don't need this, a change of use, cause you're coming down and saying everything's the same. I think what you're saying, suggesting there is different than what I'm reading into this. Like, you would never need to do historical monitor for winter use and compared to historical, because that's not it. My whole suggestion for the change of use was to say, well, if you are a single family now and you'll be a multifamily later, and you're saying, let's not do that, let's just call everybody multifamily and assess the same rate. So that's just different. So if that turns out to be where you'd like to go, then we need to see that proposal and what you're doing with that, as opposed to what I'm suggesting, which is to evaluate it by property owner and say, this is now, you're now using it as a multifamily. So I'm suggesting tabling this until we consider those differences and have whatever you're proposing at hand. And to do that, you're suggesting that we do a study first to propose, to have something at hand to talk about.
I think so. It's appropriate. So I mean, it could be twofold. Yeah, I mean, this is just, you know, in its infancy, we just put it together not too long ago. So as I get feedback, you know, we can adjust accordingly.
Have you gotten any numbers for a rate study?
Not yet.
Okay. Could you get an estimates for rate studies and also for that's more than a rate study, in my opinion. That's gonna need to be, in order to evaluate that, we're gonna need something more like the demographics and historical use and other people, so those are bigger questions than just hiring Rick Tellis. I would like if you could reach out and find what you think would answer that question and find some people and some numbers to do it. Because I also did want to find the answers to those questions. The question for me is, these zoning changes are promised by Lakewood to be impacting everyone everywhere because it's gonna be wonderful and affordable and everybody's gonna be changing their property to do everything that they say. On the other hand, data is suggesting that is a marketing ploy by Lakewood and it's not gonna have the big difference that they say it will. So we need to find out some numbers. I don't want to find the answer to that. I wanna find out what kind of studies and how much it would cost, because I think that's an issue for the mediation that we have requested, or at least to let Lakewood know that that is an issue that they should have studied in the comprehensive plan for their infrastructure. And this is it's not totally off the topic, but pretty close to totally off the topic. Did anybody hear the public comment at city council last night that they did? Somebody found that the electric grid for Lakewood is already, I have 15% in my head, maybe it was 30% over capacity, and we'll be facing these same challenges because more people equals more power equals more infrastructure, and that also was not addressed.
I was too busy filing a police report and trying to get some cops to come over.
For the
Which they did not, they aren't allowed in the city council area
last night.
anytime the city council is in session.
Really? They have been there before.
Last time when I went there, I've been trying to get in there to talk to city council and make public comment, but they keep having these people from one issue problems show up. And it's planned, and I think it's also must be paid for. And they even do their own policing. That's what I filed a police report on. because I was harassed.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. And I didn't mean to do a total segue. I just wanted to let you.
I'm
make
sorry
aware
to
that
bring
it's,
that up, it's just
yeah,
the city of Lakewood and me right now are. Oh my goodness.
so if you could have numbers just to have it on, and then
If I had a weapon, but.
that's not something that we would do, I don't think, until when the mediation, maybe the budget, I guess we'll have to do it at the budget
Yeah.
time.
That was.
If that's what you said, I mean, I would start it now.
Oh,
I
no,
would start
we-
it later.
yeah, we've been starting gathering information
Yeah.
for the budget numbers.
Yeah, okay, thank you. All right, so that's, is any other comments? I'm sorry, I'm just writing over. Okay, no other comments on that. Legal matters? Abrupt change,
Abrupt
sorry.
change, all right. The cost sharing agreement was included in the board packet, but was not included on the agenda for discussion, but that is something that I put together based on. I put together a template document that can be used for a variety of different circumstances based on a previous agreement that the district entered into for the expo offsite upsizing project. So if you have any questions about that, I'm happy to answer them. Or not. But otherwise, for general legal matters,
I have questions. Can we just stop there?
Sure.
The cost sharing agreement, so that is, it looked like that was ready to be used to plug in the parties. And that could be used immediately for this Kentucky thing that we just granted a variance for. So that, how many, if we wanted to use that. Is that a group coming together? You can put parties A, B, C in there and however people want to
yeah,
do
so
it. It is a voluntary thing.
it's a voluntary thing. And as drafted, at least, it would be as many agreements as interested parties.
Okay, one,
So, yeah, but they would be interrelated.
okay,
So, you know, when I was thinking about it, presumably it'd be percentage based. Like
yes,
the you know, 4 parties, the district contributes 25% and each party contributes 25% or whatever.
right,
But, with 3 agreements.
okay. How many parties are we looking at currently?
I think there are, well, I don't think that anyone has expressed any genuine interest in doing that,
Okay,
but I think that there are
potentially,
3 or 4 potential development projects there.
okay. Do you remember how many units that would cover?
So why are we arguing about it?
Yeah. Less than
May-
50?
Still negligible,
Sure.
right?
That's
Yeah.
just.
Is,
When we research to see if we can have utilities.
can I interrupt?
Sorry.
Yeah, this is what you were just talking about. We're making everything we're talking about sound so simple.
Josh, how is, this for the cost sharing agreement? You were reaching out to parties and can you run through the numbers for me again? How many potential parties would, could we include on a Kentucky agreement?
Outside of the Lopez family, there is 6.
Okay. And how many units would that encompass right now?
That is to be determined. Some of them had just reached out on.
I'm sorry, I need to interrupt for the context. Keep referring to the Lopez, I thought their address was on Coors. Why would we keep saying?
Well, I sent this email out to, because of the hearing that was happening tonight, I didn't include them on that email, depending on which way this turned out.
But there's some other project on Kentucky?
The Kentucky
There's-
is the line you just granted a
10
variance.
1078 would tie in there, 1031 over by Green Mountain Swim Club would tie in there. Behind the Safeway, that empty plot. By the car wash at Taco Bell, that would tie in there.
Hey, we're talking about that line that's filled up.
Yes.
Okay, now I get a concept of where we're talking about. Now, start over again, what are you talking about with that? What's going on?
So it's an agreement that all the parties could participate in. To pay for the upsize of the line, rather than have Green Mountain. Pay for the entire thing.
So,
They would pay their fair share.
so in our current situation, it would be the guy on Alkire. Who else is, you mentioned a couple of that are on that line. And all of those people would have a common agreement that they would together pay or whatever.
Whatever number gets worked out between the district and those parties involved, yeah.
Okay.
So we can actually ask them to pay for some of these replacements. Okay,
You can ask.
yeah,
And they can say yes or no. And if they say no, they can wait until 2027 or 2028 when the capital improvement occurs. Or they can say yes and they can get it done in 2026. At this rate.
and then we just raise the rates
Well,
a little bit.
no, it wouldn't have anything to do with the rates. So say the overcapacity stretch would cost $500,000.
Yeah.
To upsize, to bring it into appropriate condition. And you've got 5 developments that want to build, and the district has said, you can't get taps because it's overcapacity. And they each say, well, we'll give you $100,000 to let us build. If you put that $100,000 toward upsizing that line. So they pay for together, the 5 of them, pay for the entire cost of upsizing that line.
Yeah.
You do it sooner than you were going to do it anyway, and they get their taps sooner. That's the general outline.
Now, this additional money is besides the tap fees or?
Yes.
But what if they come to us with a really sad story?
Yeah.
And we have a
And-
hearing.
And then, I don't know why they all wouldn't now.
Yeah,
At this rate,
now they.
the 50 of them is still, we're gonna say is negligible. So,
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
Well, I'm just curious, I've kind of lost track. I remember the guys on Alkire. Who else is trying to get on the line right now? You said 50 of them?
Well, there's Alkire, there's,
Alkire was like 11 or something like that, or?
well, I think it started at 15 and then
Yeah.
they reduced it down to a 5-unit building.
and that's a big. That's right here, this is, Alkire is a big, yeah, that's a big street actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the project is only, how many units now? Has it gone down?
Well, it's, as of last communication, I think they narrowed it down to like 5 units.
Yeah, okay, what are the other 45?
Well, I don't think that 50 is a hard number, but there's the 12 single families down on, the lot right next to Green Mountain Swim Club.
Is that right?
Okay.
Then there's
Oh, there, okay.
Right by the,
right at Union in Mississippi,
oh,
so
that's way down here.
that to your bottom right a little bit, yeah, right in that area.
Where's Union, where's Kimberly? Oh my goodness.
Union is right where your fingers just were,
God, Union is
that's Union right there,
right there.
yep, and Mississippi's right there.
Okay.
Okay, so that's around 20-ish.
And then the National Parks Building, they talked about putting something there, I believe that was in the neighborhood of 300-ish units.
Oh, that's news.
It's negligible.
We've talked about that one a few times.
Don't you love those words?
There's that lot behind Safeway on Alameda that's empty.
Oh, I gotta get my, right, so that Park Service building, somebody's talking about turning that into a apartment complex,
Yes.
300 units?
Somewhere in that neighborhood, yeah.
Yeah.
So can we move along? It's late, let's get moving here.
Sorry.
thank you, good point. I don't know why we are not knowing this
I don't know.
beforehand.
You guys need to study this. on your own time.
know.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
So thank you for going ahead with getting the group together. I think it'll be, if anybody has any interest, I just wanted to make sure the mechanics of the letter. If anybody has interests and if anybody,
We received one response so far.
yeah, okay.
So,
And again, it may all be moved. Now that we have done this, go ahead.
so I was gonna continue. So also the eminent domain memo from the lobbyist was in the board packet as well. I did attend that sort of roundtable and observe. I didn't participate other than to listen in. I think the summary provided by the lobbyist is accurate and probably appropriate. Happy to answer questions about that as well. I think that that's gonna be something that comes up in the next legislative session and probably doesn't come down on the side of special districts. That's my prediction. I've been working with Josh on some collections matters, some unpaid bills for properties that have been sold. Just works in progress, no major updates there. And the last general item, mostly the last general item, is that next week is the Special District Association Conference in Keystone. It's probably too late to register.
Yeah, I did email about that. The deadline was the 5th, but I can look to see. They have a virtual option as well.
Yeah, so it may still be possible to attend virtually, but they have a lot of good information, a lot of good sessions. I'll be there in person.
Yeah, a lot pertaining to what's going on in Green Mountain.
And the last item is that we did receive an updated settlement proposal from opposing counsel in the Timmons lawsuit that was, I circulated to the board.
Yeah.
I can, if you have any questions about that, I can answer them on behalf of John. He's not available tonight, but, it'd be appropriate to do that in executive session rather than open session.
Yeah.
We are going to executive next.
If you want, if you have any questions, if you don't have any questions, you don't have to.
Well, so can you answer what happened during the mediation?
So mediation, I didn't attend, but in short, mediation was not successful. There was a tremendous amount of daylight between the positions of the parties. There was a tremendous amount of daylight between the positions of the parties at the beginning of the mediation, and there was a tremendous amount of daylight at the end also. So I don't think that there was ever any real likelihood of settlement. And I think that that's reflected in this most recent offer as well.
Yeah.
We figured that out.
So the word is daylight, okay. Got you. Oh, you know,
Yeah.
What's the legal word though, and somebody doesn't wanna negotiate in good faith?
Well, like I said, I wasn't there. I couldn't say whether that was bad faith or it's probably just dramatically different perspectives on the likely outcomes of trial.
No, we did it. All right.
Well, not going into executive, I assume we're still doing what we talked about before on this issue?
Yep.
Okay.
And that remains the recommendation.
Yeah, the trial's proceeding.
Without dragging out very quickly, anything further on the Fed Center?
Nope. No, so you approved the exclusion resolution and now they are waiting for the contracts to be entered into. Well, next step is to form the Bend Metro District and then to enter into the service agreements with Consolidated Mutual and Lakewood for sanitary. So it's out of your hands.
All still on track,
It is all still.
and we're anticipating.
Oh, actually, there is an update. I did get a hold of someone, at the GSA who he doesn't know anything, basically, about the capacity reservation issue, but he said he'd look into it, and we agreed that we would follow up with each other at the end of September. Cause he's, everyone who had anything to do with any of the agreements is gone, he says.
So we're still anticipating being kind of done with all this at the end of the year?
Yep. Probably not I don't think we'll have the capacity reservation release issue wrapped up by the end of the year, because that's probably going to require some sort of agreement with the GSA.
But the rest of it,
The rest of it, I'm anticipating will be done about the end of the year.
Okay, and that's also gonna, not to interject, but that's also gonna, if it is released, that's gonna dramatically change our flow projections.
Yeah.
By removing that capacity, the reservation
Or reallocating it.
or reallocating it.
That's right.
For the public. Because I know the mill always watches court cases. Can you tell us when the date, when we are going to be there?
Yeah.
If anybody wanted to watch.
So
which court case?
the Timmons lawsuit, the Timmons trial. The Timmons trial is beginning on September 22nd and continuing through the 24th. It'll be in courtroom 400 in Jeffco, the Taj Mahal.
So you can get to that, to watch in public from, there's a live stream, don't look for the WebEx, look for a live stream link.
There should be.
Should be.
Which court?
400.
Did anybody requested it or?
We asked for, actually, we filed a joint motion today for absentee testimony via remote appearance for 2 witnesses who will be out of the state. But I believe that the audio-visual transmission of court proceedings occurs whether somebody is participating remotely or not. I think that's Jefferson County's policy now.
Why were you making that slide to me? If you were giving me a message, I didn't get it.
Director Workman's on the witness list, was he made aware?
Well, no, he's not aware of that.
On our witnesses?
No.
Oh, I don't know about their witness list. No, they're,
It was on, you may be called by Timmons to testify for her.
News to me.
you may be being subpoenaed then.
When will I know this?
When you get the subpoena.
Not less than 48 hours before trial.
48 hours before.
That's the rule. Subpoenas have to be served no less than 48 hours before the appearance.
Just annoying.
So so speaking of noise, so you're telling me hypothetically, 2 days before September 22nd?
Yeah.
So sometime between now and September 20th, I can suddenly be getting a subpoena?
Yes.
And I have to be in town for that?
No.
Okay, let's follow up with that. If I leave town, that,
I'd suggest that you not plan that during an open meeting.
well, I am planning on leaving here.
If you're not present, and then you're not subject to subpoena. And if no one has asked you to attend and no one has served you with a subpoena to attend, you're under no obligation to attend.
Okay, look, as of right now, and I'll tell you right now, I do have vacation plans for October. I probably won't be here for the October meeting. I mean, everybody's sad about that, but I'm making plans.
Yeah.
So. I don't know if I have plans for September 22nd, but it's getting close there.
We are not calling you as a witness.
Okay. Interesting.
You are on the May list, so
Really?
they call you to testify.
Because I wasn't on the board at the time. So why would I be what would be my?
What did I tell you? You should be around,
So
be aware.
that concludes legal.
Fantastic.
When's our meeting in October, the 21st? Oh, 14th.
The 14th.
Okay, so I'm hearing no move for, we don't need the executive session, no questions. Is there any new business? I don't have any either. I know, it's rare. All right,
Just a note to everybody, the October meeting will be the presentation of the budget. So that'll be probably not, especially when they.
few adjustments, based on happenings this year for, you know, having available funds like our repair budget. Might need to go up, things like that.
Well, anyway, for what it's worth, I probably won't be here for October. It should be going here with all.
Meeting adjourned at 9:20.